Well, actually, I had just got married at 24, and I got arrested at 25 a year later.
A year later, okay.
A year later.
Right.
It was my kids and my wife. You know, I was more disappointed in myself than anything. Leaving them and not able to be with them no more. So I'm going through the process like, man, I don't know what to do. They were saying, I'm going to get life. They was, that was the thing. They trying to give me life.
Wait, how much? Okay. I really didn't want to add, but life for how much? Like how much?
It was what, 10 keys of cocaine.
Welcome to the Awesome Black Dad Show, where our goal is to give life to stories of fathers in a way that empowers and encourages dads to be a better version of themselves. Today's guest is Carnell Smith, who I consider to be a real-life Dorian Gray. If you're not sure who Dorian Gray is, I'll get into that a little later. But Carnell is a Chicago native, grew up in the heart of the West Side. He's a husband, a father, and a man with what seems to be a relentless hustler's attitude. Carnell was incarcerated at the age of 25 and was recently released from federal prison due to the 2014 Clemency Project. He experienced a lot as a young man, more than I can imagine myself. So I'm sure we got a lot to talk about. And without further ado, let's get into it. What's up, Carnell?
What's up?
Glad to have you.
Yeah.
Glad to have you. So you're going to get right into it. So who is Carnell Smith today?
Well, Carnell Smith today is a grown man, a family man, just someone that's like to take care of his family. Like you said, hustler. And
I think that's an understatement. We'll get back in that a little bit. So what I kind of want to start with is, how long were you gone?
I was gone 17 years.
And that started at the age of 25.
Age of 25.
Where exactly on the West Side did you grow up?
I grew up on Crenshaw and Springfield, between Springfield and Pulaski. So the 3900 Crenshaw.
Right.
That was everyone's spot right there.
Right. So tell me a little bit about what you believe your childhood was like growing up. We can start from maybe, I won't say 5. That might be a little early. Maybe 8 or 10. Like, what was your childhood? What do you remember most about your childhood?
Well, I remember my childhood was it was good. Okay. My grandmother, she raised me, which right now she passed away since I've been incarcerated. She gave me everything that I wanted in life. My mother, she was a hard worker. She was always there for me as well. I had uncles, aunties, they was all with me.
Right.
So the family bond growing up was really tight. Mm-hmm. And I try to carry that family bond. But growing up, it was really good. My father, he come around off and on. I go over his house and be with him every now and then.
Right. So what was that? So let's get into a little bit about like what that relationship might have been like. Like was he always in your life?
He was in my life, but I could say he was in my life, but I was more towards with my mother's side of the family. I was more gravitated towards them.
Well, yeah, that's typically how it goes, right? Like everybody, your mother's side of the family more so than your father's side, and that's I don't know if that's by design or why that actually is, but I have some ideas about why that is. But I was just wondering, how integral he was in your childhood. Was he in and out? But you guys did have a relationship, right?
Yes, we had a relationship. He was in and out. We didn't have a strong bond with each other, but he was there.
Okay.
As far as physically, he was there.
Okay. Yeah.
As far as taking care of me,
like financially,
no,
none of that. Huh?
None of that.
Show up to any graduations?
No.
Okay.
No graduation, none of my basketball games.
Okay.
Nothing like that to that extent.
Wait, you played, okay, we're talking about grammar school or high school basketball?
Grammar school.
Okay, all right. Because I know in my backyard I punish you. That's a whole nother story.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I imagine there are a ton of things and stories that you can tell, like growing up as a child in the 80s, especially on Crenshaw, because I know what that's like. What was your earliest memory of what did you aspire to be?
Well, at my early age, early
when we
age.
Talking early, like what age we talking?
Man, maybe 6 or something.
You remember back that far, huh?
It was like I wanted to be a policeman.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Let's get into why you wanted to be a police officer.
I don't know, because the police used to come to the schools.
Okay.
Talk to us while we were small, and that's what I wanted to be.
Okay, so that was the first. That was like the first professional that you can remember seeing, and that's what you aspired to be.
Yes.
Right. You didn't want to be. You didn't want to be Batman or Superman or Spider-Man. None of them. Right.
Nah, I thought about it. I had the Batman and Superman costumes.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's interesting considering the time that you grew up in, and especially where we are today with respect to police officers in the black community. I think that I don't know if it's rare, but back then I wouldn't have guessed that you would have said that you wanted to be a police officer.
Yeah.
Right. So that's interesting.
That was then, but then as time went on, I started growing up and seeing, family members.
Right. So let's get into, so what was it like to be a teenager in the 80s, like growing up in that era? Like, what was it like? Like, after you got past, like, I wanted to be a police officer, and then you got a little older and you started seeing, you became a teenager, right?
Right. I started seeing the fancy cars, the nice women,
okay.
the money. Mm-hmm. So now I'm following in the footsteps of someone I looked up to.
Okay.
And he was very close to me. I used to stay with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't want me in the streets. So I was going to school, high school.
So what age are we talking about right here? Like
what?
Early high school?
14, yeah.
Okay, 14, 15 age.
Yeah,
okay.
14, 15 age.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in high school driving all the nice cars, because...
What was a nice car back in the 80s? What were we talking about? What kind of car?
Benz.
Okay.
IROCs, drop top IROC, Vets. And I'm driving everything.
At 14, 15?
Yes.
Okay.
So that lifestyle, I wanted it. And by me wanting it, I had put the pressure, well, I ain't going to say put the pressure on them, but I had kept saying, let me do something. Let me do something. I want to make money. Mm-hmm. I want to make money. I go to the races. Everybody bet big money and stuff like that. I want to bet money too.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
I want to bet.
Right.
I see all the fancy cars, like I said, and the women and everybody got bags of money. They betting. So we bet money. So he never gave me nothing. So he'll just tell me to place my bet. Mm-hmm. Whatever I want to place. Right. So I place a bet when we go racing, and if I win, I get my money. If I lose, he'll give me the money to pay the people.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, that was cool. I'm still going to school, high school, but it just.
So this is your introduction to like fast money. Like when you say racing, is this like streetcar racing?
Streetcar racing.
Okay.
Yeah, streetcar racing. So
was that big in the 80s, or was it big just on the west side of Chicago? Was it big around Chicago? Like, what did that look like?
It was big around Chicago.
Okay.
South side, west side, north side. We used to just race.
Okay.
Different people, all the big timers that had cars.
Yeah.
We'll go street racing, and they bet big money.
Mm-hmm. And big money, we talking how much?
Man, 50,000, 100,000.
Yeah, that's big money. That's big money, and that's okay. So at 14 and 15, what are you thinking? Seeing, because I'd imagine you'd have to see. To know that they're betting that type of money. What do you remember feeling like seeing $50,000 or $100,000 the first time? Like,
wow. I was in awe.
Right, like at 14, 15, like if I can think back to what I was doing at 14, 15, well, I've seen some money, right? And not necessarily at that age and not that amount, but I've seen some money where it wasn't just penny candy money. You know what I mean? When we was taking $20 in singles and wrapping them in a rubber band and to make girls think that we had a wad, right? Which you probably never had to deal with, right? But so what did you really, like, what was your feeling after, you know, you get through the while and then you're like, okay, forget being a police officer. I want 50 and 100,000.
Correct. Actually, it just started being like a normal lifestyle now, you know, because now I'm seeing money coming in, bags and bags of money, and I'm counting the money now. You know, I'm counting 500,000, 200,000.
Wait, are we still at 14, 15?
I'm at 15, yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So I'm counting this money, you know what I'm saying, helping. So that was my reward on helping out.
Right.
So I'm counting money. Mm-hmm. So we used to count money, weigh the money, you know, put it in the money machine.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. No, that's that's pretty interesting. I can imagine what you were thinking at, or not thinking at 15. I can't imagine that you would know what to do with $500,000 at 15 years old.
Right. Well, it wasn't my money.
Right.
At the time, it wasn't my money.
This is true.
But I wanted the money, you know. But I was fortunate to get the things that I wanted. Mm-hmm. And as I grew up, more older, I say a few years later, I start moving like packs, giving packs to the runners.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit before we get. So what you're saying is that the 50, the 100, the 500,000, where did that money generate from?
Well, that money generated from, you know, drugs.
Okay.
You know, that was the drug game.
Okay.
At the time, you know, it wasn't. But everyone respected each other. It wasn't no killing each other, killing over turfs and nothing like that. Everybody respected one another. The money was flowing, and you know, everybody was having a good time, great time.
So, what part about that whole process that we've talked about so far you think influenced you the most? Was it the drug game, right? Was it the money? Was it the racing, right? Did you just get the adrenaline from being around an environment full of people who had money and they can kind of, you know, put it out there and lose 50 and not be upset with losing $50,000 or $100,000? Like, what part of that process were you intrigued about? Well, at 15,
that was the part where they could go out and spend money and do what they want to do and not trip about it. Not only that, it was the lifestyle, the women,
right?
You know, the fancy cars. Mm-hmm. So now I want to get that.
Yeah.
Fancy car, nice women.
Yeah.
You know, I want it all. Nice house. Mm-hmm. So that's led me into going into another direction.
Take us down the path when you got into actually, you know, the first pack, or, you know, getting actually into the drug game. Like, how old were you when you got into the drug game?
I'd say around 16.
Okay.
16.
Right. So first your introduction was money, right? And gambling. And after about 2 years, you're like, all right, I need my piece of the pie. And so you go from boy to man.
Correct.
And tell me what that switch was like from boy to man. Like, now I'm not just counting drug money, right? I'm selling packs and making my own money.
Well, no. I wasn't selling packs and making my own money like that. I was still working up under someone.
Okay.
They would just give me the packs, and I would just distribute it into the workers on the block.
Okay.
And I would get paid a salary every week.
Okay.
And that salary, I just, you know, pay whatever I have to pay and save some money. Mm-hmm. But if the packs come up short, I will take my money and replace it, make sure who I'm working for get their money right.
Right. Okay.
So at the time, the person I was working for and another person, they got into a conflict, and I didn't want to be part of it because I'm close to both of them.
Yeah.
So I told them, you know what? Just leave. I'm going to be out of it. Just give me something. I'm going to go somewhere else. Leave me alone.
Right.
You know, I don't want to work for nobody.
Right.
So the person that I work for say, okay, we'll do that. But he never did give me anything. So now I'm just sitting around doing nothing. Mm-hmm. I'm not making no money. I'm just going to school, living my life.
Okay, so you're still in school, right? So
yeah, I'm still in school.
Granny's still making you get up and get out the house and go to school. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, I done had moved out of Granny house by that time.
Okay.
I moved with, like I said, I moved with my cousin.
Okay.
I was living with him.
Okay.
And that's how it was. So I'm living with him at the time, you know. Where we was at.
Yeah. No, you were just talking about how you at some point decided that you didn't want to work for anybody. You were basically going to branch out on your own, and
Correct.
then they kind of left you stranded.
Correct.
Right?
So when they got into it, then one of the guys that got into it with the person I was working with mm-hmm. said, okay, look, I'll give you some money, man. You could do something yourself. So he gave me $1,500.
Okay.
I had $300 left. So I put $1,800 and went to go get me something. Mm-hmm. So when I did that, now I'm making a turn. I'm making my own money on the same block.
Okay, that sounds like a problem. But that sounds
so
like a
now
problem.
we got everything on one block. Mm-hmm. So all of us is working on one block, but the person I was working for come and have a fight with me and the person that gave me the $1,500.
Okay, so you're still in the middle, is what you're saying.
I was still in the middle.
Okay, all right. Keep going.
Because the person I was working for was like, no, you can't work over here. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we had got into it, and the person I was working for, man, I was staying with him.
Oh, okay, all right.
So now when we got into a fight, he put me out.
Okay, so basically, at 16, what you're saying is that you knew no rules to the game. Is what you're saying?
No rules to the game.
So you were just you were put out there, and you just kind of hit the ground running, and you learned some hard lessons.
Yes,
right?
I did.
Okay, so I still want to hear about this hard lesson that you. So well, it sounds like you lost that fight.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't lose or win. It was just a little scuffle and broke up.
Right.
I got put out the house. So I had to move back with my grandma. So at the time I moved back with my grandma, but I still continue to do my thing on the block.
Right. On the same block.
On the same block. So
okay.
What it was is he was on one side of the street, and me and the person that gave me some money was on the other side of the street.
Okay.
So now I'm making more money now.
Okay.
Now it's time I'm making money now.
Right.
Now I'm making starting to make $30,000 a day.
Okay, wait. Okay. Like I was going to ask that question.
Yeah.
But so are you still 16 at this time?
I'm still 16 at this time.
So at 16 years old, you're bringing in roughly $30,000 a day.
$30,000 a day. Yeah.
Okay. And that's a good day, or is that like an average day?
That was average day.
Okay.
That's closing up early, leaving, going to party. So by the time I got 17, mm-hmm. you know, I'm still in school.
Okay.
So when I come home, I got a bag of money, you know. So when I have a bag of money, I tell my guys, the ones that were with me, mm-hmm. I say, man, let's go. We going shopping. Mm-hmm. So I buy everybody. We go shopping. We splurge, and we doing everything we want to do now.
Right. You're 17. That's all. Yeah. What else you know? You just spending money, right?
Just spending money.
Okay.
Just going berserk now.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, and then the person that was across the street from me, we were making so much money more than them. They had to close down.
Okay.
So they stopped working. The person that I was working for.
Okay.
Because I guess my product was much stronger and better than them.
Sure. So at this point, does it dawn on you that not only are you, I mean, at this point, you're pretty deep in the game, I'd imagine, because it's, you know, you in, right? It's 30,000 or better every day.
I'm in.
Does it ever dawn on you that the hustle or the mentality for that game can be applied anywhere else? Because we obviously know that the drug game is an illegal one, and it has its quick successes and its long-term failures, right? Does it ever dawn on you at some point, or does somebody come to you and pull you to the side like, yo, this might not be what you want to do, man. You're smart. You know what I mean? For you to be out here getting it the way that you're getting it, I know you can do something way greater. Did you ever get that? Did you ever have a moment?
Well, no one really told me that, but I watched the person actually that I was working for the first time.
Okay.
I watched him get real estate property. Start buying real estate property. Start going to different directions as far as being legit. So I watched. So I took that and I kind of patted myself right behind doing just that.
Okay.
You know, to get out the game. But let me bag up a little bit.
Sure.
As I was working on the blocks, it was times where the police come. They will lie, put bags on me, you know, drugs, take me to jail.
Yeah.
But I wasn't caring about it because I'm saying I'm a bond out. It ain't nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all lying. Okay, it is whatever. But I didn't know the long term on how it affect me long term.
Right.
And when the federal came, well, when I got
let's get we'll get into that.
All right.
We'll get into that in 1 second. So did it ever dawn on you, because I know that once that amount of money begins to come in, there are a lot of responsibilities that come along with it, right? And as a child, I can imagine the number of people, including family, right? Probably more so family, that begin to come to you for certain things, right? So how did you feel as a 17-year-old? I mean, if you're making 30,000 a day, you're pretty much a millionaire, right?
Yeah. But I was spending a lot.
Right. I mean, you were spending it because you didn't really understand. You just couldn't understand what that really meant. And you were just imitating what you saw at the time.
Correct.
But so what type of, did the responsibilities that came along with, you know, not just the jail time that could have happened, or somebody actually coming and doing bodily harm to you, the responsibilities of now becoming the father that was never there in your life. Did you ever really get that? Like being a man of a whole family at 17, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I had to be a man of everything, you know, whatever someone needed or wanted, I'm there for them. You know, it was friends. If they needed something, they family needed something, I'm there for them. It was times where anybody come to me, but I was there. You know, I never turned my back and say no.
Right.
You know, if I couldn't do it, I'd find a way to make it happen for them. You know, I try to be there for everyone. I mean, my family, if they needed it, I give it to them.
So you really never did you feel any stress from that, or did you
never really,
were you happy about it? Like you were happy that people were coming to you?
No, I wasn't happy that people was coming. I was happy that I was able to do it. You know, I was happy that I was able to help someone else.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just about me. I was happy, and that made me more so grateful.
Right.
You know, to help someone that needed.
Okay. Yeah. I want to go back a little bit. You were talking about how this quote unquote empire kind of started, right? So the guy across the street has to pretty much pack up his bags and leave, right? Because it's just not working. He don't have the customers, and now you pretty much have the block. Is that what happens?
Yes.
Okay. So, did you know that you were like a CEO at that point?
I didn't know. I mean, I knew to a certain extent.
Right, because people were pretty much following your orders. Everything that you told them to do, they had to do it, right?
Everything. I had a crew of...
what was your crew?
My crew was probably about at least 25 of us.
So you had a 17-year-old running $1 million business with 25 employees.
Around 25 employees, yes. It was days that I didn't even go outside. I didn't have to come outside because everything was running so smoothly.
Right. And that was all based on your direction.
Yes.
And so as a part of this, growing up in the 80s and going back to,
the early 80s and early
90s, right? So the stuff that you learned as a part of this, did you get that from quote-unquote mentors, or did you just get it from sitting back and watching how people did things?
Well, I got it from watching how people did things.
Right. So your environment raised you?
Yes. My environment.
At the height of this all, you're still... So what would you say your successful run was in the game? Was it from 17 to what age?
No, I think my successful run was from 21 to 24.
Okay, so you don't consider $30,000 a day in the late 80s, early 90s success?
It wasn't success because I was dumb and spending and didn't know what to do with it.
Okay.
I was messing over a lot of money.
Okay.
So it was something that I really didn't value. Okay. And it the faster you make it, the faster it leaves.
Right.
Yes.
So it's like it's not even there,
Correct.
Yeah. So during that time between 21 and 24, right? And you early on, you were saying you really wanted to do this for the women, right? And the money, because it brings the women. We know how that goes. So in that process, I'm sure you created a number of relationships. Did you have kids in between that time? Between your successful run?
No,
you didn't.
I had actually, I did have two kids at 19.
At 19, okay.
At 19.
All right. And so when you had those kids, did it ever waver you? Were you ever like at a place where you felt like, all right, it's time for me to stop? Like, did the kids ever? I know that you were 19, right? But some people have that thought. Did you ever think that it was like time to give it up because of,
no,
you got kids?
I didn't think it was time to give it up at the time. I just slowed down on some of the decisions that I made. Okay. Some of the things that I used to do, I kind of like fell back.
Okay. So the things that you used to do, does that mean what are the things that you used to do? I'm just curious, at 19 with that amount of money, like what were you doing?
Well, I used to,
I mean, Freaknik was popping back then, but I don't know. But you were 19.
Oh, yeah, I stayed at the Freaknik every year. I was at the Freaknik.
Right.
I'm everywhere. Freaknik, All-Star games, everywhere. I'm just traveling.
So you're seeing the world.
Seeing it.
Okay. So the kids never really, no. At that point, just never really, because you were too deep in it at that point.
I was too deep in it, and like I said, I just wanted to make sure they was happy and took care of.
Okay.
And that was it.
Okay.
Make sure they had something. I tried to make it where, okay, I'm going to do whatever I have to do and leave something for them.
Okay. So you did have some idea of legacy, even though you probably didn't know that it was kind of fleeting because it was all just based in money, right? And money that kind of, like you say, goes like that, right? So to kind of get into, right, we've talked about the quote unquote success of being introduced to the game and being in it, and then having this run. So tell me a little bit about, or get into like the beginning of the end of that run. Like, like I said, around 21, I mean, you have the ups and downs, people going to jail, like I said, people, and I'm bonding people out. So money comes and go. Right.
You bond people out, you lose money, you bonding yourself out. Lawyers taking a lot of money. It just was a whole lot going on. Then I had to go to boot camp.
Mm-hmm. So what were you? What did you get caught up for to go to boot camp? Like,
I got caught up for they raided my grandmama's house actually, and I had a gun and some drugs there.
Okay.
And when I went to jail, I bonded out. Actually, I was on house arrest at the time as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
But anyway, once I bonded out and stuff like that, I was going to court, and they came with the boot camp offer. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay. They gave me 6 years. No, actually, they gave me 6 years.
Okay.
Well, 7. I'm sorry, 7 years. They gave me 7 years.
This is at 21.
This is at 21.
Okay.
They gave me 7 years. Mm-hmm. So they said if you do 7 years, or you could do boot camp, and boot camp is 4 months.
But that's a no-brainer to a 20. Okay, so it got to be a catch.
No, if you don't make it through boot camp, then you got to go and do them 7 years, which would be 3.5 years. Okay, you only used to do half on the time.
Sure. What was boot camp like? Then was it that tough, or was it that rigorous? Like, what was it? What was it?
It was
about?
Mentally. Okay. It was tough, but it was all mental.
Okay.
You have to be mentally strong to get through it. Okay. Physically, I mean, they'll work with you if you're not able, but you could do it.
Okay. So what was the hardest thing mentally to get through that you can remember from boot camp?
Taking a lot of orders.
Well, yeah, because you're a CEO, I guess. You give the orders, you don't take them.
Man.
Right?
Man, just tell you when you can sleep, when you can eat, when you can do whatever you want to do. Yeah. And I was like, man, they talking to you any kind of way. Yeah. So it was hard. Okay. But I was like, it's 4 months.
Yeah. And
I got a family. I got my kids. Right. I got to get home to them.
And then so when you came home from that 4-month boot camp, you went right back to the street.
I went to the streets, but I changed the little things around. I said, once I do go in the street, I'm going to go in, but this time I'm going to create me some business.
Okay.
That's when I created my, I bought, got my beauty shop, salon, soul food restaurant for my grandma. Mm-hmm. I had my tow trucking company, and I had some real estate property. Then I was going into later on, I was going into doing music. Right. With my studio and everything. So I had artists. So I said, this time I got to create something, establish a foundation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's what it was.
Okay. So the boot camp did change you somewhat in a way that is like you felt like it's time to legitimize what it is you're doing because you're realizing that it's not going to have the longevity.
Correct.
Like you got to start doing something different.
Yes.
Okay. So that time I imagine you're in the 21, 22 range, right? So talk to me about when it all came crashing down, right? So at the point at which you wound up in federal prison for how long again?
17 years.
Okay.
At 24, I had just got married. And I was telling my wife, I was like, because I kept everything away from them anyway. Mm-hmm. Well, she was my girlfriend at the time. I told her, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? So she always wanted me to get married sooner. I'm like, I'm not ready yet. Yeah. So when I got ready, that was being ready all the way around the board. That was leaving the streets alone, just being ready. Okay. So that's what I did. At 24, I was pulling out. Mm-hmm. I was leaving everything alone until, I guess.
And at 20, I'm sorry to cut you off. At 24, where would you say, and just a ballpark figure, when you're pulling out and you're talking about leaving the game, where would you guess that your net worth was at that time? Where would you say that you were walking away from the game?
With everything, I'd say close to $1 million.
Okay.
I'd say with everything, it was close to $1 million.
Okay.
So I had I had everything going on.
Right.
So what happened was my guys, supposedly, that I say my guys, they saying why I'm going to leave them. You know what I'm saying? Leave them out there like that. So I'm like, what y'all mean? Y'all been getting paid? You know what I'm saying? So what y'all been doing with the money?
Right.
So what they been doing with the money is, I don't know. They been spending, splurge. They still doing the same things they been doing.
Right.
So I said, okay, you know what? Y'all right. You right. I'm not going to leave y'all. You know, I'm going to do something, and I'm going to get something, which they don't know all of this.
Right.
So I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm going to grab something and just give it to them and let them do their thing, and I'm done. And that's when everything crashed down.
Wait, okay, so I'm missing something. So when it crashed down, so you were effectively trying to set them up so you can walk away?
Yes.
So you were giving, I don't want to use references from from movies and stuff, but basically what you were trying to do is just get enough product so that they can stand on their own.
Correct.
Okay. And so in that sense, you were set up, or or you just kind of just a bad decision all the way around?
Well, I had actually it wasn't my connection. It wasn't even my people.
Okay.
And it wasn't what I even dealt with. It was dealing with some cocaine.
Okay. And so what did you deal with before?
Heroin.
Okay.
So that was out my line. So what I was going with a family member.
Okay.
He was dealing with the cocaine.
Okay.
So I was going to say, okay, I was going to get something from him, but he needed some money to go get it.
Right.
He needed some extra money. So what I did was I went, met him, gave him some extra money, and he wanted me to ride along with him. So at that time, I went, I said, okay, I'm going to ride along with you. But my first mind said, don't ride.
Right.
You know, I'm going to follow you.
Right.
But he said, no, we straight. We just go down here, grab it, and we'll be right back.
Right.
That never came back.
Right. You went and never came home.
I went and never came back.
Right. So this setup was always about you?
No,
it wasn't.
It was about him.
It was about him.
Right.
Okay.
It was always about him.
Okay.
So I happened to be in his web, you could say.
Yeah.
And the reason I had got so much time because of my background. Because I already had been to a boot camp, which I had a case, you know.
Right. Around the drugs. So it was like,
right.
Repeat offender to some degree.
Correct.
Right.
Repeat offenders.
Right.
So that's why I got so much time.
And when you say so much time, how much time was that?
262 months.
Oh, I thought you were going to say years. I was going to say, God, help me. Like I didn't.
262 months, so that's 21 years and 10 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so when going through that process, right? So you get arrested, and it's for something that you probably in your first mind would have never been involved in. So you go to jail. Like, how are you feeling between that time before your sentencing or before your hearing? How are you feeling between that time?
Well,
because I'll say this, you know, as long as I've known you, like I've never seen you in a space where it's like without a smile, right? So I'm just wondering what you were dealing with all of that at 24, you know, having a wife, having 2 kids. Like, how were you feeling? Were you still optimistic? Were you pessimistic? Like what?
Well, actually, I had just got married at 24, and I got arrested at 25, a year later.
A year later, okay.
A year later.
Right.
It was my kids and my wife. You know, I was more disappointed in myself than anything. Leaving them and not able to be with them no more. So I'm going through the process like, man, I don't know what to do. They were saying, I'm going to get life. They was, you know, that was the thing. They trying to give me life.
Wait, how much? Okay. I really didn't want to add, but Life for how much? Like how much?
It was what, 10 keys of cocaine.
Okay, so
it was because I had the like I said, a background. Right. So they was calling a 3 strikes you out. So they was doing that.
Okay.
So they was trying to give me life. So I'm like, man. So what happened was I was going back and forth to court.
Right.
And when
so you get to your sentencing hearing. And
to my sentencing hearing. Actually, that's what I signed for. Because if I would have went to trial, the person that I was with would have probably had to take the stand on me. And
so the family member would have had to take the stand on you.
Yes. And I didn't want other things to come up or whatever or whatnot. So I said, okay.
Because they didn't really know about your run. Like they knew who you were, but not really like you were pretty heavy.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And so once that, if they put that family member on the stand, then all of that had the potential of coming out.
Everything. Right. And then not only that, they probably would have charged me for everything from back then.
From back then.
That's how.
Even though they didn't have any evidence of it.
It doesn't matter. They still charge you.
But they wouldn't even know. It would have been all he say, she say. They wouldn't have known.
It doesn't matter. They take their word. That's how it go. Yeah.
So they would have given you more time for the 4 years previous that you had, or 4 or 5 years that you've been, you've been dealing in, pretty much running your own organization, so to speak. They would have went back and got you for all of that as well.
Yes.
Okay.
And not only that, all the guys that was working with me, they never went over there to mess with them. So I didn't want none of that to come up. I didn't want a big conspiracy on they finna go pick up this person. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I said, okay, to protect everyone, I said, let me go ahead and sign for this, get out the way.
Yeah.
And I go ahead and do what I got to do and do the time.
Right. So you took the 21. You asked for the 21. That was one of the options. They gave you that or
go to trial and get life.
And and fight for life.
Fight for life. So that was the options.
Right.
So if I fought for life, I would have lost. I would have been doing life. So them was the 2 options.
Yeah, so I imagine at this point you're not the typical Carnell. You're not smiling. You're not smiling at all at this, right?
Actually, when I got sentenced, my family members was in the courtroom.
Right.
My wife, my mom, a few friends, they was there, but I still smiled, because I knew it's a light at the end of the tunnel. So I told my wife, I told her she could go. I got a lot of time to do. She could go. She was like, no, I'm not going anywhere.
Right. And she stayed.
She stayed.
Now, 17 years.
Yeah, she did.
17 years.
Yeah, she did. And she kept me going.
Yeah, that's a lot to ask for. I don't know how old she was at the time, but that's a lot. I'd imagine you guys were around the same age if she wasn't younger. But that's a lot to ask. And not that you asked her, right? I mean, you told her to go. That's a lot for her to make that decision at that age to stay. Right? Yeah, it's hard. I mean, kudos to her for sure for doing that and holding it down. You were getting into how you begin to feel about, signing that paper and saying that I'm going to take these 21 years, and then looking at your kids.
Adding all that up. I'm adding all the years up. I was, it was a lot of nights.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of nights that I laid in bed and cried, tears. It was a whole lot of nights, because I wasn't there for them no more.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't going to be there, and it really hurt. So it was a hard decision for me to make, to leave my kids.
Mm-hmm.
They was 5 and 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man. And so that really broke my heart. And I just.
So what kept I can't even imagine to understand what it took to even go. I mean, even at a young age, I think, being stripped away, and what I know of you, having that everything kind of stripped away, can be pretty devastating, right?
Yeah.
You know, those nights that you laid on you laid in your bed and you cried. What kept you going?
Well, letters from my wife, pictures, visit. She kept me going.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't me. She kept me going. Sent me Bibles. So I used to go to church.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I was going to church before I got locked up, but
right.
I still, read my Bible, and she was into the Word, and she used just and keep me encouraged
mm-hmm.
and keep me going. So I give it all to her. She brought my kids up every chance she got.
Mm-hmm.
She was there, and I salute her for that.
Yeah, I salute her for that as well.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward a little. Let's fast forward not a little bit. Let's fast forward a bunch of time, right? So the reason why I called you Dorian Gray, you know what Dorian Gray is?
No.
Okay, so Dorian Gray is a fictional character in an Oscar Wilde book, and basically what happens is that Dorian gets enamored with worldviews and thinks that it's all about pleasure. And so he has this artist draw a painting of him, and he kind of professes with his mouth that, he wants to go and get pleasure, and he's not going to age, but the painting will, right? So as he goes through life trying to get these pleasures, the painting, the things that he's doing, as you well know, like when you were in the game and you're moving and you're doing things and it's making you happy, it's actually aging you. When you see people that have been in the game and had a rough life, you can be like, man, they had a rough life, right? When I look at you like 17 years later, or now, what is it, probably 20, 21 years later since, before you went in.
No, before I went.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about the last time I saw you when you were in the backyard and we were playing ball, right? You look the exact same, right? Yeah. And you've come out with the same type of mentality that I remember. Right? It doesn't seem like it's affected you in any way. You don't seem bitter about it. You don't feel it from my perspective, you don't come off as somebody owes you something. And for me, that's like it is. I don't really have words for it. Like when you look at, I expected something completely different when you walked out, because I didn't get up to visit or anything like that. So I hadn't seen you in that time period. So it's like when I see you, it's almost like you were never gone. You know what I'm saying? Physically. And then the mentality, it always seems like right now you're still trying to you still are running your own business. Like you're trying to do things with the same type of mentality. What is that about? Where do you get that from?
I don't know. You know? No, I really don't. I feel, if I could hustle and do wrong and work hard doing wrong, I could do the same thing doing good. And I just have that drive to just keep going, no matter what. I keep going, So I'm using the same hustle mentality that I used to have to hustle, because my thing is I always try to out-hustle the next person. Right. You're
going back to the guy across the street from you, right? Like you out hustle him and he got to pack his bags and go.
I try to out hustle the next person no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I do. That's with anything, As of today, I'm working hard.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still the same. Like you're running a promotional company.
Yeah.
Couple months out, you had a club. I'm like, what? How? Like, this dude ain't taking no time. He steps his foot out the door, and it's like
you said, don't nobody owe me anything,
mm-hmm.
and I'm not looking for someone to give me something.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way I could get it is go get it myself.
Okay,
and that's what I do.
Yeah, no, that's the mentality I strive to have. I mean, we live in a generation where at least some of the kids today have this entitlement, right? They feel like somebody's supposed to give them something to get to the next level for whatever reason, right? Yeah. And you talk, and I'm sitting in front of you talking to you, and you've just spent you spent 17 years behind bars, and you come out with no expectations of anybody doing anything for you. It's like, pull myself up by my bootstraps, and we're gonna get this thing going. And a lot of the times, what I talk about is responsibility and accountability, right? And it seems as though that's what you're doing. You're taking responsibility and taking accountability for the things that you did in the past and not really blaming it for it. Because I'd imagine, are you and the family member that you got caught up with still close?
Yeah, we cool.
Right. And you're not, and there's no grit. Like the average person would be like, man, fuck.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I ain't got,
because a lot of people thought, thought that, what you gonna do with him? What's gonna happen?
Right. And I imagine there's some things that we're really not having a discussion about. We don't have to get into here, but underlying stuff that happens with all of that. When CEOs leave companies, it shatters the company. Like, people start doing some shady things as you begin to go down because now the leader's gone, right? And when you get into the streets, that happens even. So I imagine there were way more things that were happening that we for better reasons we obviously not going to get into in any detail. But I imagine, what I mean? So it's like, to go through all of that at such a young age, like, it's pretty admirable. To get back to the point at which, 2014 comes along, well, Obama gets in the office 2008, and then you get to a place, we get to 2014, and he's into his second stint. The Clemency Project comes along. Tell me about how you feel about the first time you got introduced to that. Well, first off, let me explain to the listeners. The Clemency Project is basically, it was an Obama initiative, I believe, that was put together to release nonviolent felons that have done more than 10 years of their sentence, right? So you go through this review period or review process with the Department of Justice and some other departments with respect to your case, your previous case, and the time that you've done, your history in prison, your history out of prison, and they determine whether or not you can fall into the category where we can, get you out, right? And so tell me about, like, when you first heard about that Clemency Project and what your idea was. How were you introduced to it?
Well, the Clemency Project was introduced because they sent out emails to everyone. We was able to get on the email at the time. We was they had the computers in, so they were doing emails called a core link. So they sent it to everyone, and they told them, if y'all want to, y'all just apply. So I'm looking, I'm like, man, I'm going to apply. I'm going to try it.
Mm-hmm. So you did this without any lawyers, no help. You just got the email and was like, yeah, I'm sure everybody probably did. Like,
I got the email, and I filled out all the questions on there, and that was it. Once I sent it in, and that was it.
So how long did you wait before you heard something back?
I heard something back maybe about 2-3 months later. They sent me a card saying they received my the email, right? And we'll be looking into it. I'm like, all right. So I ain't think nothing else about it. So
what? So is this 2014 for you when you're going through this? Okay, and at this time you've spent how much time in jail?
Since '99.
Okay.
So I way over the 10 years.
Right. Sure. Okay.
So we just waited. So at that time, what happened? I think I got transferred. And when I got transferred, I got transferred to somewhere else. And I was like, I think I sent them a letter, letting them know I transferred, where I'm at and stuff like that. So they were like, yeah, we got everything. So they basically told me to fill out everything again. So I filled everything out again. So they was like, well, if you hear from us, we'll give you a lawyer. They'll give you a lawyer to help you do some more paperwork. Okay. So I said, okay. So I'm waiting for them. So they were sending people lawyers, giving people lawyers. I'm like, man, got to be on this list. Right.
Oh, so you're seeing people around you get lawyers and get called up. Okay.
I see people around me getting lawyers and getting called up. So I'm saying, okay, my turn going to come one day. Mm-hmm. So they gave me a lawyer. Mm-hmm. They sent me a lawyer. I was like, okay. So I filled out all the papers. Lawyer contacted me, told me what I need, get letters, recommendations, character letters from my family. So I said, okay, I'm going to do all that. So I did everything, got everything set up. So at that time, everybody around me, a lot of people around me was getting clemency, getting called, seeing their names on on TV, on the news, seeing the names, or on the computer, we seeing the names. He been Clemency for him, Clemency him. So I'm looking for my name.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm looking for my name. So it didn't come yet. So I'm still waiting. I said, okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm waiting. And then one day I got that call. There was 2016. 2016.
So 2 years after.
Yeah. Okay. Because it took a process before all this went through. 2016, I got the call. Was it 2016? It was 20. Actually, it was 20. Yeah, 2016.
Okay.
I got the call, and my case manager called me in the office. It was like,
you up?
No, he didn't say that. He was like, somebody want to talk to you.
Okay.
You know, he called on the phone, gave me the phone, and it was the lawyer. I'm like, hello? He was like, yeah. He was like, hey, Carnell. I'm like, hey, how you doing? He was like, well, we got some news for you. You got the clemency. Man, I must have broke down.
I bet you did.
Man, I broke down, man. And my case manager was like, we're going to get you out of here as soon as we can. Give us an address where you going out to, where you live. And that was the...
Right. And so that process from that point to your release was a few more years, or was
no, just a few months.
Just a few months after that. Okay.
A few months after that.
Ooh.
Because some people here got released, but they don't get immediate release. The Clemency Project, it depends. Some people had to go through the drug program before they could get out. Because I said people with 30 years, but they have to go through the drug program first.
Right.
But since I was already at the end of my bit, basically, because I was finna go through the drug program in 2018. Well, actually, I would have been getting out if I would have went through the drug program in 2018.
Okay.
The end of 2018.
Gotcha.
I would have been getting out, but I would have had to go through all the drug program.
Yeah.
But so I skipped all of that.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't have to go through the drug program.
Okay.
So they immediately released me.
You.
Yeah. So I just went straight to the halfway house.
Okay. How did you spend that much time in prison? Right. All the stories and the narratives told about prison, and I know I'm not cut from that cloth at all. So I ain't going. I'm going to Mexico before I go to prison, man. They're gonna have to chase me. Right. If I do anything illegal, I'm gone. Right. I ain't cut from that one. But how did you make it? I mean, I know you said your wife, but in terms of staying out of trouble, right? And, people not testing you, right?
Well,
and I'm sure you had
we had to test.
I'm sure you had tests, right? How did you stay? Because as a part of the Clemency program, you had to have a relatively clean record, right?
Correct.
Inside.
Yes.
Right? How did you do that?
Well, all the record that I had in prison, it was the shots. They call it shots.
Okay.
So them like write-ups.
Okay.
So the write-ups that I had was minor write-ups.
Okay.
Like using somebody else's phone.
Okay.
They wasn't no violent write-ups.
Okay.
I didn't have no violence cell phone write-up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you found a way to stay out of the way in prison.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you could stay out the way. It's doing what you got to do.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Staying focused and do what you. Only incident that I had. Actually, I had two incidents when I first got in. I had an incident with some Mexicans, which they was what's that game?
The M16 or not M16?
No, they was the.
I know what you're talking about. The most vicious Mexican gang?
No. They was the Kings.
Oh, Latin Kings.
The Latin Kings.
Okay.
I had an incident with the Latin Kings when I first got in MCC.
Okay.
Which we had a fight, and they kind of like jumped me. But I held my own. I was cool.
But you weren't gang affiliate outside, were you? I'm sorry. My bad. Move on. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm new to this. My apologies. But yeah, you had your incident.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the second incident.
Well, the second incident, I was in California.
Okay.
And we got into it. It was like the Midwest and the South was together, which it was only like 10 of us out in Victorville, California. And we got into it with the Crips.
Okay.
We got into it with the Crips, and those the two incidents that I had.
Okay. I guess that would be considered relatively clean in a 17-year stint, having only two. We've gone through the rise, the fall, and now it's like the redemption, right? So when you got out, and your wife and your kids are there to pick you up, walk me through that feeling. Like, how did you feel? What did you say? What did you do?
Well, actually, my wife, she knew I was coming home, but she didn't know I was coming home that soon.
Okay.
So she was at home, so I got me one of my cousins, and one of my friends sent me some money so I could get a plane ticket. So I got the plane ticket, and my daughter just knew that I was coming.
Okay.
So I wanted to surprise my wife. So my daughter picked me up from the airport. And when she picked me from the airport, man, it was the most, man.
Because you practically missed. Yeah. She was five or six.
Yes.
And at the time she picked you up, she was in her 20s.
Yeah, in her 20s. What, 22? She was like 22. So she picked me up, and, man, I seen her. I'm like, man, even though I was seeing her when she was coming to visit.
It's a different feeling, I'd imagine.
It's a different feeling, yes. She knowing that I'm going to be there. Mm-hmm. So when I came home, my wife was just so happy.
Yeah. No, I'm sure everybody was happy. It's good that,
And my daughter done had a baby.
Yeah.
And then my son done had a baby as well. So now I'm a grandfather. So my son had a son. Right. And then my girl had a boy.
Yeah.
So now.
You don't look like nobody's granddaddy, right? Right. It's refreshing, man. And I'm obviously happy that you're home and you were able to, to be back and not have to go through that whole period of time. And thank God you didn't have to do life. Do you find yourself, from a perspective of being a father, trying to replace those moments that you missed? Or do you go?
No, I do. I go on with life. Okay. Because I can't replace it.
Right.
They going on with their life. They grown. I'm there for them. If they need me, I'm there. We talk. But, I let them live their life. I can't replace it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I still give them guidance and talk to them.
Were they ever mad at you?
No.
No, they never.
No,
okay.
Never was mad at me.
Okay.
They understood. Actually, I was talking to them when I was there, locked up. I talked to them, made sure they stayed on the right path.
Okay.
Don't go down the path that I went.
Yeah.
Stay on the right path. That's why I'm in here. I did everything for you guys, and don't let me down by doing what I've done. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm going to jail doing all this time for you guys and y'all do something stupid, then that was a waste of time.
It was really a waste of time. Not only did it waste my time, it wasted everybody else.
Exactly.
If I'm going to be an example, however you look at it being good or bad, if you're going to be the example for the thing not to be opposed to the thing to be at that point in time, then at least take heed to that, right? And if you don't take heed to that and you follow in my same footsteps, then all of it's for nothing. Like even starting and, trying to be successful to give you the things that I didn't have, or not I, but, that you didn't have. You want to give your kids the things that you didn't have growing up. And, going through the game like that and then getting locked up. And it's like, all right, now I don't want you to go through the game and then get locked up like I have. And you're not so you benefit from none of that.
Exactly.
So I get it.
I didn't want them in the neighborhoods that I grew up in. I didn't want them around the same lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because that's who raised me, the lifestyle.
The lifestyle.
And I didn't want that.
Yeah.
So I tried to keep them away to go to school. And they all finished high school and going to college. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so you should be proud for sure.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about the hustle, right? So you're going to do 17 years and you get away from, the hustle, the true hustle, what we talk about, when you're in the streets, what the hustle really means. But then you get out and then there has to be a different hustle because you ain't trying to see them cell blocks no more, right? So tell me a little bit about what your hustle is today. Like, what are you aspiring to be?
I'm aspiring to be the best man I could be. I would like to leave a legacy as far as with my kids, where they kids and kids will have something. And so I work and try to get what I can. I'm just working hard. So right now, I'm getting I got movies coming out from through Crazon Multimedia Production. I created while I was in prison. I created that because I saw a lot of talent, or met a lot of talent that was locked up that was, I don't want to waste it. So I'm going to use their stories and their knowledge and books that they written, and I'm going to publish them. It's a lot of great writers there. I got movies that's already written that I'm going to put out. And we're going to showcase all that.
Yeah, the hustle never stops.
Hustle never stop.
Yeah.
Why go to Hollywood where I could go to the prison and get the same talent?
And I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing and reading, whatever it is that you produce through it's Crazon Multimedia Company, production company. Looking forward to definitely seeing what else is on the horizon. So, with all of that, what are three things that you would give, or in terms of advice, right, that you would give? I won't say another young man. I'll say the younger Carnell, right? So if you were sitting on the other side of yourself, like 19, the 20, 21-year-old Carnell, what type of advice would you give?
The advice I will give the younger self of me is finish school, because I didn't finish school. Finish school, find you a trade or go to college. Do something you're passionate about and keep going. Don't let no one tell you no, and keep going no matter what. Don't stop, because there's going to be a lot of people that doubt you and say you can't do it. Do it. You go fall, but get right back up and keep moving. That's what I would tell them.
Yeah, I can't imagine that the $30,000 a day fell too much. And if you did fall, you fell on a stack of cash. A stack of cash. But
no,
but it's real.
Like I said, I'm making that type of money, but it was plenty of times that I failed. Where I didn't have that much money no more, so I had to start over. You know what I'm saying? And redo it. Keep going. Yeah. So it's not like it's a continuously money flowing, because, like I said, people go to jail, are bonding out, you losing money. You got stick-up man going over there, sticking up. So it's a lot come with it.
Yeah. And this is the stuff that we don't we glorify that part of that hustle, right? The cars, the women, the gambling.
But it's a lot
money.
A lot of other things come with that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure if you count on your other hand the negative things that come with it, it completely outweighs the positive stuff that on the other side.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily talk about it in a way, especially to the kids that grow up in this environment. They just see the cars and because to be completely honest, you're older than me. I don't know by how much. I'm 38. How old are you?
44.
Okay. So you've obviously seen a lot more than me, but we're family. So we've seen, like I've seen the things that you have seen, but chose a different path.
Right.
Right. And I can guess why that is. But it's still, we glorify it more than we talk bad about it. Right.
Yeah.
And I think a little bit more of that would help us make better decisions in our community. And I get that there's systematic issues going on. There are people against us that set us up. Like you said, the police would be out there and put stuff on you. You weren't doing anything that day. But at the end of the day, it sounds like, and I think you believe the same thing, that all of it is our decision.
It's our decision.
Right? And so just like you said, the reason you got caught up is because you decided to make one decision over the other. If you had decided to go with your first mind and not show up, your story would be completely different.
Well, if I would have just went another route as far as schooling. You know, I wanted to play basketball.
Right. Well,
I wanted to play sports.
Okay.
You know, I wanted to play sports.
Right.
Actually, I used to play and work out with for Western House High School.
Yeah.
With Chris Head.
Right. Yeah.
I used to work out, but I could have got on the team. That was when Keywan Garris and all them was playing. Right. But I could have got on the team because I used to work out with them every day. But it was the people, my guys, they say, that was around me. He didn't really want me hanging with them guys. And I was being loyal, saying, no, these my guys, so you know, I'm going to be with them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I could have took another path because I really didn't want for anything because I already had it. You know, my family already had it. So I could have took another path, but like you said, it's your decision.
Yeah.
And that was the decision I took. That's why I say don't nobody owe me anything.
Yeah. The things that happen to you are for you. Like if the things that happen to you today, I mean not today, but the things that have happened to you in your life had happened to somebody else, it would have completely shattered them probably. Right? And so to be as strong as you are to kind of go through these things and then walk back to your family with open arms, and then fight to get back what you kind of lost, again, is pretty admirable. So
yeah, it's one step at a time. You know, I can't get it overnight.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to be able to get it as fast that I used to get it, but it'll come in time.
Yeah.
I just got to stay positive and keep moving. Like
right.
I said, they goes knock me down, but I'm going to keep going.
Right. Absolutely. And on that note, you know, we'll definitely close the show because I think we've tackled a number of things today, and I definitely appreciate you for coming through and sharing your story, man. I appreciate it.
Man. Good being here.
Yeah,
bro.
absolutely, man. Peace.
Love.
As always, we appreciate you joining us on this journey to become a better version of ourselves. These candid conversations are meant to inspire, encourage, and empower you with something that you can apply to your own life or share with someone that you know needs to hear it. We would love to hear how these conversations are impacting you or the people around you. So do us a solid and head on over to the review section on iTunes or Stitcher and leave us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Lastly, I'm proud to announce that we recently released our very first high-quality coffee table photo book, Fatherhood Through the Eyes of Black Dads. This book tells a story of 8 dads and their experience with fatherhood using powerful images. Head on over to our website awesomeblackdads.com, and click on the Projects tab for more information. You can follow us on all social media at Awesome Black Dads, and we'll see you next episode. Peace.